Alright, well welcome back for another video. The topic of this video is blogging, and this is one of the things that you will be doing in this course, and you will have to have a blog and make a few posts. And just a few things that I want to say about blogging. First of all, it's a great way to connect with others, whether it's sharing your expertise, your passion, or reading about others. It's just a great way to connect. You can also comment and they can comment on yours, and it's a really nice way to be able to share, basically. You can oftentimes help others. It's a good platform, an easy one to be able to do different things that you need to do, create a website, and those kind of things. It's also a great platform for being able to do a reflection. You can reflect on your learning, you can reflect on your teaching, and really just kind of a nice way to sort of journal online. One of my goals for you in this course is that you're establishing a professional online presence. And more this becomes important. And not just that you have a professional online presence, but also that that this professional online presence is really what your presence is online, as opposed to maybe some of the things that wouldn't look so good for you as a professional if they show up online, if your students or colleagues happen to find them, or your supervisors as well. And true story, I've known people who have some things on the internet that they would prefer aren't seen, and unfortunately, when you search for them, these things do pop up, and some of the things that I have become aware of with colleagues and with students are things like drunken dancing on the tables, posing in photos that you wouldn't want your students to get a hold of, and things along those lines. And all of those things may happen from time to time. It's really a good idea not to document it and post it on the internet, of course, but as you continue to build an online professional presence, those things end up getting buried more and more. So the more blog posts you have, the more websites you're involved in, the more conferences you present at, and all those kind of things where your name is on the internet, those help to develop a professional presence that you would like to have. Okay, so a majority of my online presence happens here on stephenkatz.com, and as you can see, that's www.stephenkatz.com. And I know it has a very 90s look, and I definitely need to redo my theme, but this is where I basically post what I need to post and showcase some of my students' work or some of my workshops and things like that. And it's all pretty much right here. This website is done using WordPress, and I've been using WordPress for probably close to a dozen years. This site has been in existence since the 90s in some form. I used to use it more for teaching students, and now I really use it for just posting the different professional things that I do. WordPress is very flexible. It can look like a website. It can look like a blog. I've decided that my home page is just a static page here. Notice I've got a bunch of links on the different sides, which I think is a little bit redundant, so I'm going to remove those. And then, of course, I've got some of my everything you can share pretty easily. I love having the visitor map. It's kind of nice to see where people are who are looking at your website. And really, this page doesn't change at all. What I do more than anything is I add to my blog. And every once in a while, when I have a good lesson or I present at a conference or something along those lines, I will post whatever I can on the blog just to share my resources. And so I recently was at a conference, and this was my presentation that I did on video apps. And if you scroll down, you can see as my site loads up here, got a bunch of different resources from that, including a comparison chart for different movie apps. And from time to time I post some kind of random stuff, but for the most part, it is all education and technology. Once in a while, I might post something else. Here's an example. This is my DIY iPad stand, so students could film stop motion videos and also Common Craft style videos. And I give an explanation how to actually create that iPad stand for just a couple of bucks. So I've got a lot of things like that. Also, I've posted a lot of different types of student work. And so, for example, one of the ones that people seem to really like, I was doing Middle Ages, and one of the themes was illuminated letters. And this year, the year that I did this in my class, we were 100% digital, so we used no paper at all in the classroom. And so the students did their illuminated letters all digitally. And I've showcased some of the letters here, and they're pretty fun, and the kids had a really good time creating them. And this is the kind of stuff I really like to show off on my website. So this is just some 7th grade student work that they did, and they, I think, had a pretty good time doing. And I thought it turned out really cool. I get a lot of hits on my website for this. Some of the other things that I like to share, well, pretty much any type of lesson resources and things like that. But one of my favorites was this lesson that we did on sound waves, which was really super cool. And it was in conjunction with a middle school science class, and we were trying to get the kids to understand really what sound waves were. And we used a variety of instruments in order for them to try to identify the different sound waves. And here's all the different handouts. And I like to, when I post a lesson, I like to give away all the stuff so that everybody could go ahead and recreate that in their classroom the next day. Actually, my absolute most popular posts on my blog, and I'll just show you real quick, was I created a Time magazine template for students because they were doing a project where they were highlighting someone who was important in history. And so what I did was I created a simple template in Google Drawing, and then the kids could just go ahead and fill it in with what was required from their teacher. And this is all right there, and I've provided a link on the site, so if you want a copy of this template, you can just go ahead and make the copy, and it's really nice. So I like to get a lot of my professional stuff out there in this manner. And you can see there's also a lot of other different things, my publications, some professional development stuff, my conference presentations, but definitely at some point in time there will be a reworking of this site because it definitely, like I said, looks very 1990s, and I really do want to update it. It's time. One of the things that I think is really important when you're blogging, well, I should just say, I think I call them kind of the 4 Ps of blogging. And these 4 Ps, I think if you can do all of these, your blog will be read, enjoyed. You'll find an audience, I think, which is really important. And it'll help you to stay focused. And one of the things, the first P, let's just start with the Ps. The first P is purpose. And I think most good blogs, or most blogs that are read quite a bit, most popular blogs, have some type of purpose. They have a focus that they deal with, and they stick to this focus. One of the teachers at school, she does a blog. She's one of our first grade teachers, and her blog is called The Yum List. And she really likes going out to restaurants and evaluating the food, and she just started a blog doing this here in Malaysia. And before you knew it, she was getting millions, literally millions of page views on this blog. And her blog got so ridiculously popular that she pretty much doesn't pay to go to a restaurant ever anymore. And it's just something that she did. It was her passion. She liked to go out and review these restaurants. She doesn't do it for money. She doesn't take advertisement. It's just what she likes to do. And so her purpose is really just sharing what great food is out there in Malaysia and now in the region, really, as well. So a good purpose is really important. And you'll notice that my purpose on my blog is just sharing educational technology types of things with people. It's pretty focused. I think that most, also the second P is passion, and I think that most good blogs will have some type of passion behind it. It's not just a regurgitation of something else or reposting of someone else's blog. It's something that a person actually feels some type of passion about. You may not agree with their viewpoint, but that's okay. It's their passion that's bringing some type of recognition to this blog. The third P is perspective, and I think perspective is really important. You can have a political blog that's very conservative, or you can have a political blog that's very liberal. I think I hit the wrong hands on those, but that's okay. And your perspective will help to build your audience. If you have an education focus and it's art and it's integrating art into the education, that's a different focus than I'm going to have with the technology and the education. But they're both still educational blogs. It's that perspective that you're coming from that really makes really helps to focus who your readers might be and your audience. And speaking of audience, I would say that is the fourth P. It would be people. And you want to have, if you want to have a successful blog, you want to be thinking about your audience. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not doing a blog to share your world travels with your family and that's just the way you like to do it. That's fine too. But those people, your audience, is going to be a very, very small number. If you'd like to get your message out to a greater audience, then you'll need to be thinking about a broader topic that you can be talking about, like education, like technology, like restaurants, or whatever it is that is your passion. And I would recommend writing about something that you really, back to passion, that you really are passionate about, because then you continue to have more material, and that tends to work really well for you. So those are the four P's. We've got purpose, passion, perspective, and people. And I really do think that most, if not all, successful blogs have those four elements in them. Now, when you're writing your posts for this class, just one of the things I want to recommend is that, first of all, that you title it with blog post number 1 or blog post number 2, whichever it is, so that it's really easy for me to be able to tell which post you're responding to. Later, after I've graded it, then I don't have any issue with you changing that blog post title to something else. But just for purposes of this course, please title it blog post number and the number of the course. Also, I would, it's not required, but I would recommend that you take a look at some of your classmates' blogs and make some comments on those. It's always validating to have someone comment on your blog, and I think those comments can be very few and far between, and it's really nice when we get those. Now, one of the things that that we're going to be having to do in the class is we're going to have to follow each other's blogs. And so the way you're going to have to do that is, first of all, you're going to have to sign up for Feedly. So once you've signed up for Feedly, then you can begin adding blogs to your feed. So once you've signed up for Feedly, what you do when you log on is you'll see a page that looks something like this. And as you can see, I've been using Feedly quite a bit, but I want to show you how you add content to Feedly. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, first of all, find the link that you want. And so I'm going to go ahead and copy this link here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Feedly here. I'm going to click down here at the bottom where it says Add Content. And notice it says Add Keyword Alert, Add Website. You can do a lot with Feedly, but what I'm just going to show you for this course is how to follow each other's blogs. And so what you're going to do is go ahead and you're going to paste that URL in there. Usually it gives you a couple of sources. If you're not sure what that means, you can just hit enter and it will show you with a little bit more explanation. And I usually just recommend taking the first one. So I'm going to go ahead and say follow. And now here what I can do is I can either follow it. These were from previous courses that I used, so I can add it to one of these two courses. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new feed, and I'll call it EDLEAD 6240 Summer 2018. And then I'm going to go ahead and create that. And you'll notice now it shows up here. And you'll see that now I have this blog that I just followed right there. If you were to look at a couple of other courses where I followed the students, notice this one has a 2, and that's because it has 2 unread blog posts. So if I were to look, these are the 2, they were posted by this person. You can see I have 15 more sources, different blogs where people posted. I can look at any one of those and I can see that I have read all of these articles, or I can go ahead and I can click and see all the different articles that were posted. You can see these were all posted for the course. One of the things you'll notice is that they come up blank oftentimes, and that's because there's no image in the blog post. And it's really important that you have at least one image in your blog post that has something to do with your post, what you're talking about in that post, because that will help readers to easily find what they're looking for. It's also nice, it gives kind of a description of what you're looking for. Now, as you begin to add into your EDLEAD list, you will start building this up, and as people begin to write their blog posts, you will start to see them pop up on your feed. And so now so if I were to go back here and take a look just to give you an idea, so here's a couple of them that I have not read yet. And so what you can do is you can just click on that and it gives you the blog post right here in Feedly, and I can read it that way. Right, look at the photos and all that kind of stuff. Or I can just click here and it'll open up a new tab and take me directly to that blog. So you can do it either way. If you're going to make a comment, of course you're going to need to be on this person's actual blog. And also notice that it does look a bit different than what we were seeing over here. This is giving just a real basic version of that blog post. And it also gives tells who wrote it, and all those kind of things. And then I can either keep it unread, because once I've looked at it like this, it's going to see it as being read. So when I finish it, when I click the X here, notice now I only have one. This has turned to gray, and the next time if I were to load up this page, or even if I were to refresh it, that blog post, the Holy Land, that I just read will no longer show up in that post. So it's a really efficient way to read blog posts. This is how I will go through and I will grade your work. I will know things pop up because they'll be here in my feed under this EDLEAD 6240 Summer, and it's a really easy way for me to keep up on what you guys are writing. The other nice thing is it pops up with the most recent one up at the top, and then as I scroll back, scroll down, I'll get the older posts after that. So that's really the basics of Feedly. You can also add a little Google Chrome extension, and this is a little notifier that shows that I still have one blog post that I haven't read, and you guys all saw which one that was. I also like to have a little shortcut on my bookmarks bar so that I can get directly to Feedly, which is where you saw me as we started here. That's pretty much it for Feedly. Everybody will be posting their URLs for their blogs in that discussion. All right.